Emma and her newborn baby were dying in the snow. Then headlights appeared. The millionaire who stepped out was Robert Maxwell, the same man whose company had killed her husband. Little did they know, this rescue would reveal an amazing family secret. Before watching full video, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Emma Parker held her tiny baby girl close as the icy wind cut through her thin coat. Her car had broken down on the lonely mountain road, and now she was stuck in the worst snowstorm in years. Her baby Lily was only 3 days old. "Stay warm, little one," Emma whispered, fighting back tears. Her phone was dead. There were no houses nearby. The snow was getting deeper by the minute. 6 months ago, Emma's life had been so different. She and her husband Michael had been so happy, waiting for their baby to arrive. Then the accident happened. Michael died while working on a building site owned by millionaire Robert Maxwell. Emma tried to get money from Maxwell's company to help with her bills, but his lawyers blocked her at every turn. "Your company killed my husband," Emma had shouted at one of the lawyers. "Don't I deserve something to help raise our child?" But they only gave her the smallest payment required by law. It wasn't enough. Emma had to sell their house. Now she was heading to her sister's place when the blizzard hit. The wind grew stronger. Emma's legs felt heavy in the deep snow. Baby Lily's cries were getting weaker, which scared Emma more than anything. "Please," she begged to the empty road ahead. "Someone help us." Robert Maxwell stood at the window of his fancy mountain cabin, watching the snow fall. This private retreat was where he came to escape his busy life as the owner of Maxwell Industries, a huge construction company. Today was the 5th anniversary of his wife's death. The big house felt empty without her. His only daughter, Rebecca, hadn't spoken to him in 2 years. She said he cared more about money than family. "Maybe she's right," he said to himself. As he stared out at the storm, something caught his eye. Was that a person walking in the blizzard? Nobody would be crazy enough to be out in weather like this. But there it was, a figure stumbling along the road below his property. Robert grabbed his thick winter coat and boots. Whatever his flaws, he couldn't let someone die in the cold. He started his powerful off-road vehicle and drove down toward the road. Emma couldn't go any further. Her legs gave out and she fell to her knees in the snow. She curled around baby Lily, trying to shield her from the wind. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered, her voice weak. The cold was making her sleepy, which she knew was dangerous. But she couldn't feel her fingers or toes anymore. Suddenly, bright lights cut through the swirling snow. Emma thought she was seeing things until she heard an engine. A large vehicle stopped beside her and someone jumped out. "What are you doing out here?" a man's voice called over the howling wind. Emma could barely lift her head. "Please, my baby." Strong arms picked her up with the baby. The man carried them to his vehicle. The warmth inside made Emma's frozen skin burn. Through blurry eyes, she looked up at the man who saved them, and her heart stopped. It was Robert Maxwell. The man whose company had killed her husband and left her with nothing. "You," she whispered before everything went black. Robert drove carefully back to his cabin. He kept glancing at the woman and tiny baby beside him. The baby was too quiet, her little lips turning blue. He turned the heater up all the way and drove faster. At the cabin, he carried them inside and put them near the big fireplace. He wrapped them in warm blankets and called his private doctor in the nearby town. The storm was too bad for the doctor to come, but he gave advice over the phone. "The baby needs to warm up slowly," the doctor said. "Best if the mother holds her skin to skin under blankets. Check the mother's fingers and toes for frostbite." Robert did what the doctor said. He helped position the baby against her mother's chest under the blankets, built up the fire, and made hot soup for when the woman woke up. The woman's eyes finally opened. She looked at her baby first, then at him. Her face changed when she recognized him. "You," she said in a scratchy voice. "Robert Maxwell." Robert frowned. "Do I know you?" "No," she said with anger in her voice. "But I know you. Your company killed my husband, Michael Parker." The name hit Robert hard. Parker, the worker who died in an accident 6 months ago. His lawyers had handled it, making sure the company paid as little as possible. "I didn't personally handle that case," he said weakly. "Of course not," the woman replied, holding her baby tighter. "Why would you care? He was just another worker to you. Not a real person with a pregnant wife waiting at home." Robert felt ashamed. For years, he had let others handle the messy parts of his business while he focused only on making more money. How many families had suffered because of decisions made in his name? "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I should have paid more attention. What's your name?" "Emma," she replied coldly. "And this is Lily." Emma, I know you have no reason to trust me, but you're safe here. The storm is too dangerous, you need to stay until it passes. My doctor will come check on you both when the road's clear. Emma nodded slightly, too tired and worried about Lily to argue. For the next 2 days, while the blizzard raged outside, Emma and Robert kept an uneasy peace inside the cabin. Robert did everything he could to make Emma and Lily comfortable. He cooked meals, kept the fire going, and gave them the large guest bedroom. Emma stayed cautious but saw that Robert was truly trying to help. When Lily got a fever on the second night, Robert drove through dangerous snow to meet his doctor halfway and get medicine. That night, as they sat by the fire with Lily finally sleeping peacefully, Emma found herself telling Robert about Michael. Not just his death, but his life, his dreams, and how excited he had been about becoming a father. He never even got to see her, Emma said softly, looking at Lily. That's what hurts the most. Robert was quiet for a long time. I lost my wife to cancer 5 years ago today, he finally said. That's why I was up here alone. My daughter hasn't talked to me in 2 years. She says I buried myself in work instead of dealing with my grief. She's right. Emma looked at him differently now. Losing someone you love changes you. It doesn't excuse what happened to your husband, Robert said firmly. Or how my company treated you afterward. The next morning, as the sun finally came out, Robert made a decision. He called his office and gave clear orders. The Parker case was to be reopened immediately. Full payment would be made to Emma, plus extra support for her and the baby. When he told Emma, she didn't believe him at first. Why now? Because you feel guilty? Partly, Robert admitted. But also because it's the right thing to do. I've been ignoring the human cost of my business for too long. 1 month later, Emma stood in the doorway of her new apartment, watching as Robert awkwardly held baby Lily. The money from Maxwell Industries had allowed her to start over, with enough to focus on raising her daughter. Robert had kept in touch, checking on them often. Today he brought news. He was changing his entire company, making it safer for workers and creating a fund to help families of workers who got hurt. You didn't have to do all this, Emma said. Actually, I did, Robert replied, smiling as Lily grabbed his finger. That storm made me face what I'd become. Saving you two might have saved me too. Emma was about to answer when her phone rang. It was the hospital with DNA test results. After moving into her new home, Emma had decided to follow through with something Michael had wanted to do. He had been adopted as a baby and had always wondered about his birth parents. Before he died, he had started looking for information. Emma listened to the nurse, her face changing from interest to shock. What is it? Robert asked when she hung up. Michael was adopted from Mesa County, Emma said slowly. They matched his DNA to his birth family. His real father's name was James Maxwell. Robert froze. My brother James? That can't be. The nurse said James Maxwell and his girlfriend gave up a baby boy for adoption 30 years ago, before James died in a boating accident. Robert sat down heavily, still holding Lily. James got his girlfriend pregnant before he left for college. I never knew they had a baby. He looked down at Lily with new understanding. If Michael was James's son, then Lily is your family, Emma finished. She's your brother's granddaughter. Over the next few months, what started as tragedy turned into something neither Emma nor Robert could have imagined. DNA tests proved that Michael was indeed Robert's nephew, making Lily his grandniece. For Robert, who had lost his wife and grown apart from his daughter, this unexpected family connection felt like a miracle. He was careful not to push Emma, but he wanted very much to be part of Lily's life. Emma's mistrust slowly changed to friendship as she saw how much Robert had truly changed. He not only fixed his company but also made peace with his daughter Rebecca, who eventually met Emma and Lily. 1 year after the terrible storm, they all gathered at Robert's cabin. No longer his lonely hideaway but a place filled with family. Rebecca was there with her husband, and Emma watched as Lily took her first wobbly steps toward Robert. I never believed in miracles, Robert said quietly to Emma. But finding you in that storm, discovering Michael was my nephew all along, what else can I call it? Emma smiled, thinking about how life's darkest moments sometimes led to unexpected light. Michael used to say everything happens for a reason. I stopped believing that when I lost him, but now. She watched as Lily laughed, reaching for Robert's hands. Now I think maybe he was right. Outside, snow began to fall gently, not the dangerous blizzard of a year ago, but a peaceful white blanket covering the mountains. Inside, where once there had been loneliness and grief, a new family had formed, brought together by the most unexpected turn of events. And perhaps that was the greatest miracle of all. Robert looked at the little girl playing at his feet, his brother's granddaughter, his own flesh and blood he never knew existed. He thought about the strange path that had brought them together. A tragedy, a storm, a chance encounter on a snowy road. Sometimes life gives you a second chance in the most unexpected way, he said. Emma nodded, watching as Rebecca joined Lily on the floor, helping her stack colored blocks. Michael would be happy to know she has family. Later that evening, as Robert tucked Lily into bed in what had become her room at the cabin, he whispered, "Your daddy would be so proud of you." He placed a photo of Michael on the nightstand, one Emma had given him. "And I promise you'll always know who he was." The next day, Robert took Emma to see something he'd been working on secretly. At his company headquarters, he unveiled a new safety training center named after Michael Parker. "Every worker will go through this center," he explained. "What happened to Michael shouldn't happen to anyone else." Emma couldn't hold back her tears. "This means more than the money ever could." As they drove back to the cabin, Emma noticed how the mountain road where she'd nearly died with Lily now had emergency call boxes installed every mile. "You're doing?" she asked. Robert nodded. No one should be stranded without help in a storm. That evening, as they all sat around the dinner table, Robert, Emma, Lily, Rebecca and her husband, Rebecca raised her glass. "To unexpected family," she said. "And to second chances." Robert looked around the table at the family he'd nearly lost and the family he never knew he had. The empty house that had echoed with loneliness a year ago now rang with a baby's laughter. Sometimes the worst storms bring the greatest gifts. And sometimes, just when you think life has taken everything, a miracle happens that changes everything. Robert Maxwell, once known only for his wealth and power, was now known for something far more important. The love of a family brought together by an unexpected twist of fate and the healing power of forgiveness. And whenever anyone asked how they became a family, Robert would simply say, "It was a miracle in a snowstorm," and leave it at that. Some stories were too precious, too magical to be explained with mere words.